Hi everyone, welcome. I'm actually going to brew a tea from a book that I've never made this before, and it is from The Tea Magic Guide by Guinevere Elliott. Now on page 75, I'm just trying to bring this water up to a simmer for the first part of the ingredients here. And this is a spell or a tea spell to boost our self-esteem. So it does say in here, despite the many wonders of our modern world, the influx of media and technology can pollute our minds with negative feelings and make us overly critical, not only of ourselves, but others. Turn this down a smidge. I think we're getting there. Yep, we got a simmer going here. So I'm going to let it simmer for a second. This is just a half a cup of water. So we'll turn that down because we got to get it right for the tea. And in these moments, it says in the book, the author, I find it particularly spiritually healing to return my body to nature and focus on the place I originated from. Society is a mere social construct, but nature is the root of our very being. And to use this spell when you are feeling disconnected from yourself and all that you have to offer the world. It will heal the innermost places in your soul by reconnecting you with your natural foundation. So let's begin the spell. And I guess we should be stirring clockwise because we want to stir in a good dose of self-esteem. We'll turn that down to low. And I just thought this might be fun for us to do. So the first ingredients going in, and I've measured it out ahead of time, is 1 teaspoon of rose petals. And mine is from that rose black tea over there. And so there's a little black tea going in as well. And then it wants a half a teaspoon. Now I should back up there because the rose petals are going in for bringing in that sense of love, protection, and healing. And we want that to simmer just ever so gently. Now we're going to bring in some fresh or dried jasmine flowers. Now I'm using, as you can see, some of the jasmine tea balls that I have there. So I just crushed them. And it wants us to simmer this. So I'll bring it back up a little bit. I would say for about 3 to 5 minutes. And it says, that depends on how flowery you want. What is your tastes? So I don't like it terrifically flowery, so I think 3 minutes will be fabulous. And we want to, as I say, think of this as a spell. And you could do your own affirmations, whatever is going to work for you, to get you feeling confident and secure. All right, so, and this is going to involve a little bit of crystal magic too. So I'm going to have to get my rose quartz and work this spell a little bit more. So I'm going to put the timer on, so hold tight. Okay, I've set the timer for 3 minutes. And I want just a very, very gentle simmer. So I'll turn that up a smidge more. And she did include measurements, and I'll show you those right off the bat here. So if you want to try a little bit of this yourself. So the rose petals are in, the jasmine is in, and the jasmine again is going to encourage us to work also in our dreams, or if we're doing any divination, just to amplify things a little bit. And she did say she included the measurements because the inclusion of milk, and I'm using soy milk. So I have 1 cup of soy milk ready here to go. Because she said that needs to be balanced a little bit more carefully. Let's see, what else does she say? Use more or less of whatever you enjoy the flavor of, but measure from the heart. That was nice. So you just need a small pot, a mug and tea of your choice, and the rose quartz crystal for that self-love. And the idea is you're going to hold that crystal. And she's got perfect instructions in here. So we're just going to let that go a little bit more, as I say. And you might want to, and she hasn't suggested that in here, strain this. You could definitely strain it because you may not want some of these lumps that I have here from the actual rose. So I think I might just do that, pausing in a second, and return this to the pot because we've got some spices to put in here yet. But when it comes to using the rose quartz, she's suggesting you hold the rose quartz firmly in your left hand to access your inner strength. And as you grip it, you're focusing your mind on the steam rising from your cup so that you can find that stillness, that place of tranquility. So you don't need much water in the bottom. We're just getting a little brew going here. And then we're going to return to furthering ourselves with the spell. So I'm going to strain this and come right back. So the simmering is complete, the straining has been done, and I did leave a few leaves in here so that I might be able to do a little tea leaf reading at the end for myself. It smells really nice. It's got a beautiful golden color, so I'm happy with that. So it says after we've simmered it, you then are going to add your milk, your cloves, and your cinnamon. So I'm putting in the 1 cup of milk. That looks quite nice. You're going to get a couple, I think, glasses out of this unless you've got a really big mug. So I'm going to turn that up again. There we go. Single burner. There. Okay. Now, so we've added the milk. We want to add in the cloves. Now, you're only going to use an 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. So that's going in, and I think that's ample. There we go. And then we're going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. So that is going in. And it is nice to have things pre-measured. Wonderful. And I guess you could actually do a little bit more magic, I would say, if you had a long cinnamon stick and you didn't want to put it into the milk mixture here. Then you could actually stir it in your cup while you're holding the rose quartz crystal and working your affirmations. So we're going to let that sit for a minute. Temperature should be bringing that up. It's smelling quite heavenly. So that's all in, and then it says stir this to blend together, then add the honey and remove it from the heat. And then you're going to stir for another minute, making sure all the honey is dissolved into the warm brew. And then we're going to add it to a special cup. So I'm just going to let that sit for a second and get back to you. Now, read a little bit more about what she said once you've got your brew going and your crystal in your left hand. It asks you to really enter that calm and centered space. And when your mind feels fully focused on this practice, you may switch the crystal to your right hand, use your left hand to pick up your cup, and begin to take slow, deliberate sips from your tea. And between each sip, speak aloud the one thing that you love and value about yourself, or many things. And you want to go beyond the surface things. You want to go deep down and find those innermost traits that make you who you are. And speak each of these with confidence so that you can allow yourself to truly be immersed in it and believe it. And you can sip away your tea until it's finished. And you're going to be holding that rose quartz and really putting the energy into it. And if there's more tea left, you can continue to sip that, reflecting on everything you're speaking aloud. And remember, it says magic works best when it feels true, authentic, and something that will benefit you personally. So you're communicating your inner truth. And it says there are no wrong answers. Just be positive with, the affirmation that you're bringing it to this cup in order to boost your self-esteem. Now it says you can add strength to this spell by placing the rose quartz under your pillow each night. And if you can remove the crystal in the morning and allow it to recharge in the sunlight during the day, this will help build some positive energies. Now I'm just going to put the honey in, because I think we are done. So it's taken me, 11 minutes, because I've never made it before. Now it says a tablespoon. I don't think I need a tablespoon. And I never do follow instructions. Just one of those girls. Okay, so we're going to stir that in, and I'm now going to remove it from the heat. And it looks divine. So let's get it into our cup. And I have found a rather large cup that I can pour this into and enjoy. So here goes a cup of self-esteem, confidence, and security. So now we have to make our way over to the table for our teacup cards. Okay, I am back. Now this is where we're going to get a little bit more creative still, in that I have the idea for drawing a teacup on this spread cloth and placing the cards in such a manner that we could actually pretend this is coming from the teacup. So now I want to get my little brew and see how it tastes before we get any further. Okay, now let's just say that this has the most wonderful fragrance, but I want to see what it tastes like. I've got my big cup here. You can see there's a few leaves floating around, and even these little dashes of cinnamon and cloves are going to leave ideas, impressions, and pictures, hopefully, for myself in my teacup. And let's just see what it tastes like. Oh, loving that. I could make that for myself a couple times a week. That is fabulous. And I'm not kidding you. This is the best brew yet. So let's get this cup made so we can lay some cards down. And I will say that I went through my 200 cards. And because we're doing a self-esteem spell here, I picked cards that would motivate us and uplift us, because we're working on building that self-esteem and confidence, and we need all the help that we can get. So now let's start drawing. Okay, you're going to have to forgive my reach here, but I'm going to see what I can do about this. Is really rudimentary, but I'm having fun. So we're going to put the cup in here. And I'm going to say, this is how much I love you guys. This is a piece of super soft Sennelier pastel. And it is like butter to work with, but they're very expensive. So this is part of our teacup here. It's a little bit squat, but so what? I'm sure you will forgive me as we make a nice cup for us to place the cards in. And I'm thinking 3 in there. And then we're going to need a saucer, right? So we'll put this down here. Okay, there's our saucer. Not bad. Then we need a handle for our cup. The ear, right? Just so happens that this is sort of in the way, but okay, we have our teacup. Now, gonna pause and save some time here and shuffle the cards, but I want everyone to sort of put their intentions into it as well. Now, the other thing I'm doing is we're gonna have the cards here for, I guess, that emotional sort of feeling to help us, because we're gonna be drinking that up like liquid, like in our cup. So we'll put that there for the second there. And I picked a card from the teacup cards for that section and some charms. So use your intuition to make beneficial change. This is the card that's going to, allow us to focus on the beneficial changes and those intuitive feelings because it's in the cup, right? Down here at the base, I chose another one. And this one is deep personal strength and peace that assures success. So that's going to be leading this one. And then I thought, you know how you got the steam coming out of a nice hot brew? We're going to put 3 cards up here. And I've got the angel card to lead that one. So it says spiritual guidance, protection from harm. Wonderful. So anyway, bear with me. I gotta have another sip of this tea. We'll get going here. Okay, I've shuffled with the intention of cards that will boost us. Boost our self-esteem, boost our confidence. And we're gonna cut it in 3. Oh, look at the powder coming off. How cool is that? It's almost like steam from the cup. And we're gonna put these in here. But we wanna boost ourselves and our self-esteem. So we are going to have these cards upright. Okay. These are the cards filling our cup. Now we're going to pick something for the base, things that will give us security as we're working on building and boosting our self-esteem. Okay, and then we're going to need some of that steam coming up. So that is going to be information from our angels, guides, and guardians. Okay. Okay, and we're going to put 1 card over here, which represents news, because it's the ear of the cup, things we want to be listening for. All right. Okay, now, I think we've got everything covered. For now, let's take another sip. Oh my golly gee, this is good. Okay, so in the center there, we've got use your intuition to make beneficial change. And how are we going to do that? What are the cards telling us? Okay, I'm going to adjust the camera. All right, so the first card says, you have plenty of material things. You know, you've got everything that you need. This is like a cornucopia, and it is full. And it's echoing that same circular shape as the cup, almost. But if we're going to be working on some things, and this could include appreciation, in order to make beneficial changes, we need to look at what we have and be thankful for what we have. We have plenty. And what we have, is it making you happy? If it's not, let go of it and only surround yourself with things right now like happiness. And I look at this one as like the bluebird of happiness. The message is be content, be happy with what you have. And I guess who you are, because we're working on self-esteem here and boosting our confidence. We have what we need if we can access that little spot within us. Do our affirmations and be thankful for everything that we have and find that acceptance and happiness for who we are. And I like how the bird is facing the future. And then, well, this is interesting. A gift of jewelry. Really, does it make much sense in this one? Let's just struggle through this one and see. When I think of the diamond, if you just ignore that, the gift actually is like a diamond, clarity, purity. The cut is exceptional. We have to look at ourselves and how we are made up, what makes us special. Nobody's perfect, but we are, I guess, put here for some reason, and we have to make sense of it, find that clarity, be the purest that we can. And everybody talks about being authentic right now. Are we being authentic? That is at the heart of our cup here. So we're going to use our intuition to make beneficial change. How? By realizing that we have everything that we need. Happiness at the center of it would be wonderful. And if we can feel that happiness inside and know that we can be a gift, we can be like that diamond. We can be authentic, we can be clear, and we can say what we need, what we want. Beautiful. Okay, so what would give us a sense of security? And remember, everybody interprets cards differently. And you can look at these cards after and see what makes sense to you. So what's going to give us confidence? What's going to give us that sense of security? This is the saucer for the cup. This holds the cup in place. Okay. Well, security as far as money. Money will be coming to you. If you're feeling a little bit of lack, the cards are saying there is things in the works, and if you're looking for money, what do you actually need to make you happy? Well, money does bring some security. It's saying, okay, hang tight. Things are going to be happening. It doesn't say how much, but what do you need? Put it out there as to what you need. Part of your spell when you're mixing your brew, your special brew. What gives us security too? The pleasure of a close friend. And having that friend brings us security. If you get past the money, it's the friends sometimes that have our back, that allow us to have those deep conversations and know us the most and bring us security. Okay, slowly but surely we will be getting ahead. Isn't that nice? Okay, so that is the basis. Now, what do our angels, guides, and guardians have to say? So I'm going to pull this down a bit. Hang tight. Okay, I'll have to bring some of these cards forward so that you can see them. So, information, spiritual guidance, protection from our angels, guides, guardians, whatever it is that you work with. Let's see what it has to say. There's an exciting event coming. When I think of the gong and you think of spirituality, to me that is like the light going off, in that maybe there's that wake up moment, that aha. Ooh, there's all kinds of ways that one can go. And then a fair man, dealings or relationship with a man with blonde, gray, or white hair. Well, spiritually, You could use this as one of your guides and guardians if you wanted to. Maybe there's someone in your life that helps you stay on the path, that encourages you, that type of person that, like this best friend down here, they've got your back. So spiritually, there's someone there that supports you. Nice. And then we have archway. New opportunities and possibilities and paths are opening up. So spiritually, it looks like there is this path, and like in the tarot, the Ace of Coins, are you willing to walk through that path? Are you opening up into a new chapter? There is possibilities waiting for you. Nice. Okay, it's time for another sip of tea here. Hang on. I just got to say, too, that I don't think that you wouldn't want to strain it, because you wouldn't want some of those big hunks in your teacup. No, 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 no. So then we just have the ear left, right? Okay, what are we listening for? What we need to be on the alert for? Where the news might be coming from? Advice from a friend. We got 3 cards here that are very friend related. When you think of the dog too, you're thinking of loyalty. So any information that you might hear this week, you almost have to trust it, because if it's coming from a good friend, someone who's got your back, and the loyalty of that good friend, listen up this week. Somebody has something to share with you. Advice. Okay, so that goes there. Now I'm just going to gather up some charms from each of the sections, and we'll see what we got. Now I did try to pick charms that would be seen as motivational and uplifting. So, oops, one is dropping out already. Taking a little handful. And we'll see what we got. Okay, so my eye goes first to the fair man there, and we were working with angelic ideas. And you've got the acorn beside that. So that represents to me knowledge. So if you're doing some meditation this week, you're probably going to feel some insights, some aha moments. That's good. And you've got the roulette wheel here. To me, that is taking a chance. Maybe taking a chance, taking a risk on using some information so that you can, feel a little bit more guided. And if it seems sound, go with it. If it doesn't, let it go. And this is a mermaid. And she is sitting there right by the angel. And mermaids, that one's sort of, I haven't worked much with mermaid energy, but they are of the water, right? So anything that comes through this week, I would be saying, what do your emotions say? And because it's upside down, do some further work. Don't trust those first feelings that come through. Yeah, and maybe ask for higher guidance around that. In here, look, you've got the fish next to the money card. So if you are, doing some spell work around abundance, having the fish there, perfect. And if that doesn't represent money, but it represents security, doing one of these spells with some tea to boost that self-esteem, it might have quite an effect. It might be quite lucky, quite fortunate. And here we have the owl plus an eagle. And remember, we discussed gift of jewelry could just be clarity, focus, and being a little bit more open with what we have to share and being authentic. And the owl to me says, the wisdom to share of yourself what you can, and like the eagle, to see things from a higher perspective. And down here on the corner is the tree of life next to the tortoise. Slowly but surely we will be getting ahead. And I look at this, well, if it's not the tree of life, it's a tree, as possibly family support. So if you're having to work through some self-esteem and get your confidence back, maybe there's a family member, or this is something deep. You know, you really got to put your roots down, and it's neat that it's coming in the saucer, because that is definitely at the base of things. And then over there by the star, what do we got? We have a wheel from a ship for navigating. So I gotta say that makes for me a really good connection, in that there's fate, there's hope, there's divine guidance. And the wheel next to it, things are turning, less stagnation. This has been fabulous. So I'm just going to hope that that brings a little bit of happiness to you. We have some angel advice. We're going to tune into our intuition. We're going to work on our security. And I can highly, highly recommend making that brew. So I'm going to sit with the rest of my tea, enjoy it. We'll do a couple of swirls, put it on a flat saucer, and see if any images appear. But know that I too have to work on some of this. And I wish you good luck on everything that you're doing. And if you have any insights, pop me a little message. Glad to hear it. Glad to get that conversation going between some of us, because, you know, friendship, that helps build up our confidence. It's always nice to have someone who has our back, a really close friend that we can share successes with, and friends that we can trust the advice that they give us. So everyone, have a fabulous week.